people are not looking for a friendly church. They're looking for friends. Friendly churches are really good at the handshaking time, and they're really good at
smile.
Right,
they talk,
smile.
Yeah.
And service ends, they go right to their own groups and they do their own thing.
Or they just leave. Yeah.
They just leave. We need people that are willing to offer friendship to them, because that's what. And by the way, we always have to remember this: everyone that walks in the door came for a reason.
Yeah.
Hey, Castleview, great to have you back today at our Castleview Baptist Church podcast. And we want to talk about something a little specific today. We've got a really big service coming up, of obviously Easter. And it is, in many ways, the biggest service of the year. And we want to talk about that. I've got Pastor Christian with us today. And Christian, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, good to be back. I didn't think I'd be invited back, but I'm here. I say that every time.
You always
keep
go
inviting
back to
me.
that, and I keep you keep reminding me.
Because every time the joke with you and Johnny is, he's never invited back on this podcast.
Right. Well,
I'm here.
Behave yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll be invited back. Hey, let me ask you this. So I don't know if everybody knows this. Last year, so we're coming up on a year now. Matter of fact, this last Sunday was a year that we've been in the building.
Yeah.
And last year was our very first Sunday at the church in the new building. It was Easter Sunday. We weren't in yet. By the way, what were your big memories of that? The preparation of getting up to it.
I was thinking the other day, actually, me and Wiley Powers were talking, and me, Wiley Powers, Jeremy Fincher. Jeremy Fincher was there quite a bit. Wiley, though, and me were there almost every night. We had to hang like 33 TVs,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
So we were hanging TVs till like 9 at night.
Yeah.
It was. I just remember me and Wiley sitting on the floor. We were exhausted from hanging TVs. So that was like a big memory of the time leading up to it. Just trying to get into the building and really everybody putting their hands to the plow. It was exciting though. There's the kind of days that you miss because you only get them once a lot of times. Especially at that level.
Yeah.
But I do remember all the leading up to it. I remember the last choir practice in the Sutton facility. All our stuff was just everywhere. Like we kind of had to blaze a trail to get people to their seats for choir practice because all our stuff had to be torn down. We were moving out.
Wow.
So yeah, there was a lot of
So a lot of people wouldn't know this now, but we didn't get our certificate of occupancy until Friday afternoon, like 2 days before Easter started. We had a problem with the elevator.
Yeah.
One of the hydraulics went out. We had to have someone fly to Minneapolis, pick up this piece. Pick up this piece, bring it back. Yeah. And remember one of the funniest things. Remember they went outside to stripe the parking lot. And do you remember? We had somebody. So I walk out there and I'm looking at these lines. They just striped it. It's beautiful. You walk outside, it's like, man, we've never had a parking lot. We got this big parking lot, fresh lines, fresh asphalt on the ground. And I walk over to the stop sign and it says SOTP. And there was two of them the same way. Yeah. And I'm like, this is just too good. You had to laugh at that point.
I remember getting a text in our church group chat. We were just laughing about it. And if you still go there today, they covered it, but you still see it.
You can still see where they had to go over with black. And so I posted something about, hey, excited about Sunday. Be sure to sot on by. And a little picture of that.
There was that, and then there was, the parking lot looks beautiful. And then we walk in one day, and it just looks like red everywhere. Oh, we had to paint all because the Douglas County makes us paint. They make us. You don't even notice it now.
I don't notice it now.
And Bill was telling us if you go, you'll start. I started noticing it everywhere. That all these curbs are red. For some reason.
So there's a new. For those that don't know this, there's a new. They kind of changed the standards on curbs that you cannot park on, because they want fire lanes. They want obviously ambulances, fire trucks, all that to be able to get in. And so almost the entire entrance and then just about all the way around the parking lot, red. They just do it. They don't put a little sign that says no parking, from here to there. It's just all red. And I drove up that first day, and all I could see was like lipstick. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at this beautiful.
You can't even notice the building because
it was like they use this neon fire red, kind of thing that's all over the place. Yeah. And you're right, you don't even notice it now. Yeah. But I remember wanting to cry when I walked.
I remember as we just stood in the parking lot like, what is this? And Bill was trying to talk it up. We're like, this is terrible.
No, this is dumb. You know, and I thought, I haven't seen this all over town.
Yeah.
Well, now
You start to
everyone
see
that's
it.
building, you start seeing it all over town. So forget about Easter for a minute. We got in, had a great, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
What was your favorite service in 2020? Over the last 12 months,
Yeah.
highlight service.
Yeah, there was a lot of good service. I mean, we had like 13 grand openings, so that was fun.
Because you guys didn't have enough to do. So I was like, I gotta finally get some work out of
I
these
was
guys.
running out of songs. We can only sing "To God Be the Glory" so many times. No, there was a lot of fun big
Wait,
services.
just for clarification, we had Easter. We did not. That was our first Sunday in the building. We did not even talk about
Yeah.
the building. I mean, I think
we
I made
didn't.
a quick reference to, hey, obviously we're here in the new building, but today is about the resurrection
Yeah.
of Jesus. It's not about our building.
Yeah.
And then a week or two later, we had our grand opening service. And then a week or two later, we had a
family and
community.
friends.
We had our family and
Yeah.
friends first.
service, yeah.
And because we wanted to recognize people that, you know, had done so
Yeah.
much and given so much and worked so hard. And then a couple weeks later, we had our grand opening. And that gave us a chance to have everyone worked all the bugs out.
and that was
Yeah.
good. We did that because there was a lot of stuff. You know,
Yeah,
new
yeah.
sound system, new everything.
Yeah. So it was only 2. You know, it was only 2. So you made that sound a little worse than it was.
Yeah, it was a little dramatic. No, my favorite service of the year, I have to go back to our Christmas Eve service. I don't know that the crowd loved it because they were sitting in each other's. I mean, literally, it was so packed that night. We were expecting that, but not to the level.
No.
I think we were using the balcony. You had said, I don't think we could have fit more than 20. I don't know that 20 people could have gotten in the room.
Yeah.
Literally,
I
probably
don't
10.
think so. Yeah.
But it was just an intimate feeling. Christmas Eve is already that.
Yeah.
Because you're singing Christmas carols, you know, people, they're holding the lights, things like that. It's dark in the auditorium. We don't get a lot of services like that, where it's just dark in the auditorium. And that was cool. Just all the voices singing in there. It was just a really powerful moment.
15 minutes, 20 minutes before the service starts, I'm going, oh boy.
We don't have room.
I mean, people are poor. I've never seen people pour into a building like they poured into the building that night. Literally. I mean, you know, it was
that way,
they were pouring in through the lobby, and they were being herded in almost, where they had to stop and slow down because
It was just a consistent trail of people coming in. It was amazing.
we had 20 guys going up in other rooms, grabbing chairs up and putting them down.
Yeah.
You literally could not have put any more chairs. We had the loft area all packed with 4 or 5 rows deep up there. We went all the way back to the back of the building. We went all the way to the front, you know, side as well.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And this is kind of funny. I don't know that. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think guests love packed buildings
I would
like
hate
that. I think we love
guest,
that.
yeah.
I don't know that guests love that part of it. But there was a special spirit there that was there that night.
Well, and our building, it's just built to decorate for Christmas. It's just really, it has that ski lodge feel, and it was
does.
just beautiful.
Yeah,
So,
it was really cool. So that was a highlight for you.
I think that was my favorite service to just sing. And the other part of that too was it wasn't we didn't have all the instruments on stage. A lot of times when you're leading worship, you're thinking a lot.
Yeah.
And it was more just
simple.
It was simple, and let's sing together.
I'm having a memory. I just remembered something.
Okay.
I remember talking to you and the staff about having a Christmas Eve service.
Oh no.
And
I know where you're going with this.
And there was somebody that just I don't know if I love Christmas Eve services. Was I can't remember who that was.
There's a reason for that. I love them now because I have a new experience. But it used to be growing up. We had drive-through. Christmas was like huge at my dad's church growing up.
Yeah.
And Christmas Eve was just like, it was a big program. We had like 3 programs we would put on.
So
over
another,
Christmas. It was just this
another thing you
wasn't
had to
what we
do.
did at Castleview this past year. It wasn't this. It was a program, and so I just remember, and it was right in the middle of the 3. So it's just
right, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
So I looking back, they were awesome memories. The college group put on this big program, and the high school group, but it was different than what I was used to growing up. I loved it.
You loved it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well,
but I was against it at first.
You didn't love it. Yeah.
No,
you were willing. I don't want to act like you weren't. I mean, you're always willing to, hey, let's go. But I knew it wasn't going to be your favorite. thing to do. But look at it now. Favorite service of the
Favorite
year.
service of the year.
That's awesome. Okay, so I would say that's right up there. Any other services stand out to you about 24? There were several that I thought were really great services, but any others?
I remember because this wouldn't have been Easter Sunday. It was I guess it was we had one service before Easter, correct?
No.
Going in, or was Easter
Easter was our
first?
very first service we had.
Okay, then we'll get to that because I do remember the first time we ever sang in an auditorium, and it was just like, this is weird.
And that was Easter Sunday.
Yeah, I think this wasn't even when the building was finished. One of my favorite services that my mind goes back to was when the walls were just wide open.
Yeah,
you remember that service? And
that was our anniversary service. It was our 15-year anniversary.
Yes. That was It's
our 16-year anniversary.
Yes.
We're coming up on 17. No, it was our 15th year,
Yeah,
right?
it
It
was
was
the big
before we
one.
got
Yeah.
in. And so it's in the summertime.
Yeah.
We didn't have any walls up, no window. I mean, the studs were up, no windows in there, so kind of open.
Yeah.
And to put everyone in that room
Yeah.
was
So I guess
a
that
cool
wasn't from this year, but that
experience.
is one that certainly stands out.
Yeah.
Every time our choir, when we talk about them
Yeah.
singing, we just remember being in this open air
Yeah,
and standing on
everybody
rises.
having to pull in on the dirt.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have a
Had golf
parking lot
carts
yet,
going back and
obviously.
forth.
Golf carts going back and
Yeah,
forth.
that
That
was
was
fun.
really cool.
Fun day.
So let's go. I would say that I don't know, Christmas Eve is way up there in the services to me. Christmas was up there to me as well. I don't know if we could beat Easter last year, though, because of so many different things,
reasons.
right? We're in the new building for the first time, first of all. Well, that's pretty special. We had well over 300 guests with us that day, which we had about 700 people there on site, which is we had a great turnout. Over 300 guests with us that day. We had a number of them, 25 or so, that indicated they received Christ at that service. Just a really, really special day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What do you think? I go back and forth a little bit on, right, we're planning on this year. Our church has grown this year. And so you kind of go, okay, can we get everyone in 2 services the way we did last year? And then I kind of go back and forth on, okay, how many of those people came because it was kind of a grand opening and it's our first service? And how many of them came because it's Easter, and so let's check out the brand new building that's open. So I go back and forth on what it'll look like this year, but since we've grown, I really think we're going to be packed out again.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a hard one because you never really know. Like this is the kind of stuff, like as pastoral staff, it's like, you always have, you don't know what to plan for necessarily, because the fact is our second service here recently has been full in the auditorium. First service, and those go back and forth sometimes, and sometimes they're even. But here recently, it's been fuller in the second service. So I certainly think, and I could be wrong, that we're gonna have some full services.
Yeah.
And parking is going to be one of the big ones
Parking's
too, which
gonna
is
be a
why we spread out
challenge.
the services. We'll get to that. I think it's going to be some packed auditoriums, which I love packed auditoriums.
Yeah, I do too.
When
I do
people
too.
sing and worship
yeah.
on a big day like that, like Easter, it's powerful.
What do you remember the most about last year's Easter?
The first thing I was thinking about last year, the first thing that stuck out to me, because it was almost this overwhelming feeling, because it's the resurrection day and that's already this big adrenaline rush. I remember that morning, I was on my way to pick you up. Actually, I was going to swing by and pick you up. We were heading to the church early that morning, and I was just blaring Phil Wickham's "Sunday's Coming." Friday's good because Sunday, and I'm pumped. The sun's coming up. It's just absolutely beautiful when we get to the church, and I remember though. It's kind of a blur because there was so much going on, not just Easter, but now you're moving into a new facility. You're going to have all these guests. You don't know what to expect. And I do remember the first time I got up and said, "Welcome to Castleview," and started singing. It just felt so weird at first.
Yeah.
Because we come from this smaller facility with the Suttons. The most you can seat is 200 in there. And then you go to this bigger auditorium. And the TVs aren't on the back wall; they're right in front of you, and so you're getting used to that. And you'd practiced with it, but now you're wanting to connect with people as you're singing too. And I just remember it feeling I felt so out of place at first, but so excited at the same time. Like this is cool. Like you don't really get to be a part of stuff like that very often. And I got to experience it at my dad's church with a new building, and to be able to do it again, it was just cool. It's like, man, God is doing something here. And I think it meant so much more even for our church, because we were wandering in the wilderness is a terrible way to say it. But for years, I mean, it was in the school, it was bouncing around to different, COVID hit, and you tell that story of, and finally we're home, finally this is a place that we can call home. So that was huge. And then just on top of that, our choir was a new thing at that time, newer thing. And so the choir had grown at that point, and then they're given like 3 or 4 songs on this beautiful new sound system and this screen. It was a beautiful service. And then you're singing about the resurrection. I mean, come on, that's just exciting enough.
I think a lot of it for me that I just loved was seeing, we've been praying about, we've been talking about when we were raising money and praying about this new building and decisions of okay, should we do this? What are we going to do? Costs have increased. It's a big decision. And what we kept saying was the opportunity is so large. There are 2 costs, right? I mean, there is a cost in finances that's a commitment. That's a pretty big commitment. It's a scary commitment for a lot of people. But there's also a cost to lost opportunity. Right? When you look at it and say, we could miss an opportunity to be able to tell a lot of people about Jesus, that costs something. And we may not feel that cost in our pocketbook, but we will feel that cost in eternity. And so you look at this and say, okay, it was hard. We didn't get our certificate of occupancy till Friday afternoon. I mean, we had a lot of work to do. You and Wiley were there a lot with the sound and trying to get, and other volunteers were doing a lot of work to try to get everything ready to go. There was a lot of commitment with money, but to me, I think I left that day and thought to myself, that was the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do. It was so obviously the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do, to build, to step out on faith, to have it that day. I mean, I just felt like everything just really came together in a special way. Not that listen, there were a few things that weren't even done yet. We had to break down after Sunday so that the construction crews could come back in with their lifts and do all their stuff. But the opportunity cost that we would have missed out on, I think, is huge. We still have people joining the church.
We had this past Sunday.
Sunday. We had a couple join the church that heard about us from Easter. And they came right around that time. The week after Easter, they came. And they heard about us on Easter because of Easter Sunday.
I went to dinner with a family on Sunday night. Had dinner with them, and their first Sunday was Easter Sunday. And they were just talking about how amazing their experience.
Is that Jeff and Melissa? Jeff
and Melissa, They were talking about that, and Easter was their first. But the building would have been a huge draw, right? I mean,
sure.
People were already going to the Easter service, right? A lot of people already go to an Easter service, and you were saying this, and I agree with it. Why not go to the new building? I mean, that's a double whammy. That's awesome.
Right.
We could.
It seemed like, okay, if we could have waited 2 or 3 weeks to get in. Okay, let's give a little bit of time to. I just felt like that opportunity cost was going to be a higher price than we wanted to pay. That okay, you're missing people that would have come 3 weeks ago that aren't coming 3 weeks later. Because it's Easter.
And you're missing people not for the cause of seeing the new building, not from what Castle. You're missing people who have an eternity, right? You're missing people who need Jesus. And that was so clearly the message of that day. We didn't even talk. You said we didn't even talk about the building.
We didn't.
We really didn't. It was just.
I did not want that to be the emphasis. You know what I mean? This is a tool. We're glad we're here. And it would have felt weird if I hadn't said. And in the opening, I basically said, "Hey, obviously we're here in a new building. We're not celebrating a new building today. We're celebrating Jesus today." And then we moved on and we went right into everything else. And
there's stories. I'll be honest, like that whole process bolstered my faith, because there's. I remember sitting in Parker at a coffee shop, and it was Friday, and just kind of getting my mind wrapped around the service coming that day. Coffee shops used to be our offices, right? I mean, we didn't have offices then, and sometimes I do miss those days. I was just at Lost Coffee this morning, and it brings back memories of,
Yep.
being there working. Anyways, I remember getting the text from you because we were praying all day that day. God, we need this. We trust you. I mean, this is faith. Either, we've been promoting this. We've sent out mailers to everybody.
We sent out 30,000 mailers.
That to some that would seem, that's crazy. That's stupid. But that's faith, right? I mean, that's what God calls us to is bringing us to a place of, God, you've got to come through for us. That is what faith is. Mm-hmm. And then to get the text, we got our certificate of occupancy. Mm-hmm. I just remember crying, walking to my truck like, thank you, Lord. And just making it, I get emotional even thinking about just God hears us. God's hand is on this.
Yes.
And then we get to that Sunday, and I don't remember how many accepted Jesus that day.
Yeah.
I don't.
20 to 25, I know, indicated that they trusted Christ.
It was amazing. That was to me, that was probably looking back, one of the biggest moments of that day is just being on stage and you're singing the invitational song, and then you're asking for salvation. People raise their hands, and these hands are flying up everywhere.
And that's not including, this. I had, because I'd bring them by your guys' offices. Yeah. I had several that came to meet me afterwards.
The first day in the office.
First day in the office.
First day in the office.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Phil and Rhea came in. And both Catholic background, got to lead them both to Christ there that day. They've been baptized, or they're here. But it just seemed like every few days, every week for a little, for a season there, it was people that we met on Easter Sunday that I got to give the gospel to right there in the offices. And I'd bring them by to you guys, and hey, they just trusted Christ, and just a really, really cool experience.
Well, and I've never thought of it the way that you just put it. That's an interesting thought, because opportunities like that only come one time. I mean, Castleview's only moving. Sure, in the future we'll build an auditorium, we'll build an whatever. But that's it. You literally change the shape. The whole Castle Rock is different.
The landscape.
Now. The landscape. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You've changed the landscape of Castle Rock, and it's affecting your community now. Yeah. You only get that chance one time.
Yeah.
And I just think it was God's hand was so clearly on it. That it was
special.
It was special. Yeah.
So we know this is a big service coming up. We've just got a few weeks till Easter, which is hard to believe. I mean, it's right around the corner, the April 20th. Yeah. What do we have to look forward to in the service? What's happening? What do we got going on?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's just I'm stealing this from a different podcast I've listened to, but Easter Sunday is the Super Bowl for the Christian, right? It is it is we celebrate the resurrection in our hearts and our lives all the time, but it is a day that we just single it out in our lives.
There is nothing that we sing about that gets me more emotional and excited every time we sing a resurrection song. I mean, that's when the hand goes up for me, and that's when we did Sunday. We sang some music about the resurrection, and that just always, Phil Wickham's got one. What's the one that
Living
he talks
hope.
about? Living
then
hope.
Came the morning. When you get to that verse, it's just like, man, Jesus, yours is the victory.
Yes.
Come on.
And for years, I didn't do it this year, but there's a little picture that I've always posted, and it's a little, the grave is opened, and it just simply says, real simple, it says, and then Jesus punched death in the face.
Yeah, literally.
I was like, yes, he did.
Yes.
So that's it's emotional to even think about.
I knew we were going to be talking about the resurrection, so I actually read Luke 24 this morning just to kind of get, and honestly, I got this feeling again every time there's just something, and I believe it's Jesus himself conquered death. Jesus is living inside of you. When you're reading that and the Spirit's work, I don't know how you don't get excited.
Well, that's your assurance.
That's it.
He conquered death, not just for him. He has the keys of death. Yeah. He's released us from. I mean, it's obviously central to our faith. He tells Paul, or Paul says, if Jesus was not resurrected, your faith is vain. This is a waste of time. Yeah. So all of this comes down to this amazing moment.
Well, you watch these superhero movies, and they create this emotion in it when the victory is finally won. You're just like, oh, that was so cool. Yeah. I mean, come on, what better hero story than Jesus doing what no other superhero, fake whatever can do.
Absolutely.
He conquered death. He's the only one who's ever literally conquered death in the grave.
That's right.
And that's just, that's
exciting. It's exciting.
Come on.
So what's happening in the service? We've got we have our choir going this time.
Choir's going. Our choir has we talked about this at Christmas, but they take the heavy load of things for our programs now because they're just, it's so powerful. So we're singing 2 songs. And some people might say that's not that many. Well, what we're doing this year is a little different. We're very video driven. Obviously, we have Drew, who we've made many films at our church, and so this year, we sat down, me, you, and Drew. We kind of sat down and said, what can we do that we want to keep implementing our strengths, with video and music, but doing something different. Sometimes we do, the 3 segments, and that's good, and we'll still do those. But how can we do the same kind of ideas, but really do it differently? And so we talked about integrating them. There was this opportunity with music to integrate the songs and the video at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Don't tell them anything else.
I'm not going to tell them anything else.
I think it's going to be really powerful.
I'm just telling you, I was on a run yesterday listening to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was, it makes you run a little faster.
You don't have to work in your exercise. We get it. You work out, okay? You don't have to, why do you have to?
Should I share it? Should I share it? Should I share it? Christian Lewis.
Let's hear it.
Christian Lewis is officially
Well, are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
I think I'm going to say
You better be careful about what you're about to say.
The lowest weighted staff member.
Wow.
In the guys department of the Castleview staff.
I can't believe you just did that.
Less weight than Pastor,
Drew,
less weight than Johnny.
I want to edit this part out. I can't believe you just did that to me.
Hey, I was 280 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's fun.
By the way, you're looking good.
Well, it's fun. I feel like, the biggest thing was teaching discipline to our teens.
Yeah.
If I'm fat, I can't teach discipline to my teens.
Are you calling me fat
now?
No.
No. We're all in the same size pants now. We are all.
Wait, no, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
Come on.
We are.
How do you know that?
Because I asked Johnny and I asked you.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me my waist
36.
size. I'm a 35.
Are you? Oh, whatever.
I am. You want to see?
No, I don't. I really don't.
I'm a 35.
No, but there's that's been just a good journey for me, just because teaching discipline and things like that. And you've been the biggest promoter of that. When I first got here, it was really Christian, we got to get to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym, but I ended up going, and you kind of started that for me. So
you've been
it's not about that. I don't even know where we're going.
You've been
but
amazing.
I had to get that in there.
You worked in your run. Well, I was also thinking at 3 a.m. when I woke up to read my Bible this morning about Easter as well. And
I was 2:30,
but no, it's going to be a good service. How can people get in?
Everything's a competition right here.
How can people get involved in sharing this? Because this is I'm burdened about this, right? We do a great job with social media content. Yeah. Drew does an amazing job for us. We've got clips we'll put out. We'll record something that I'll do a little recording. We'll put that out. We've got some clips of things we'll do. But I think there's a danger in going, hey, you know what? Our social media is so good. I'll just let our social media do it. And I think there's a danger in that. Yeah. We are called to preach the gospel. Yes. We are called to be salt and light in our communities. So this is a natural big day. 86% of people that are surveyed say that if a friend invited them to church, they would attend. And if that's a normal statistic, think about Easter. I mean, Easter, you said it, it's the Super Bowl. People are coming out on that day naturally. They just need to be invited by somebody. Yep. A lot of these families we know, they're going to go somewhere, but they may not be attached anywhere, but they're going to go, hey, let's find a church in the community to go to. It's Easter.
Yeah.
Why not go to the church that someone invites them to? So how can our church do that?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways that you can get involved this year with our Easter. We already have cards. We have cards, and we're going to be setting those out on chairs and things like that.
Yeah, they have these. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes.
They have these, and we have two sides of this. By the way, we haven't talked about this yet.
Yeah.
We have something new this year that we've never done this here at Castleview. We've got a Good Friday service.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that service.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the death of Jesus, I'm excited about being able to get together. It's going to be very traditional.
Yes.
About 45 minutes. I mean, we're going to sing.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as produced, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of an intimate, almost this may not be the perfect analogy, but almost think of a Christmas Eve service in a way that it's not that it's our biggest music, because Christmas
Yeah.
service has more
Yes.
of that, but it's a special.
Yeah, I think you leave
service.
that service on Easter. You're gonna leave celebration. I think you
Yeah.
leave Friday. Thank you.
sober.
Sober. Thank you, Lord.
Yes,
And now you're
yes,
looking ahead. But
yes,
thank you.
yes.
We want to take this time to remember.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really special service for our church family. So we've got that 6 o'clock on Friday evening, April 18th, and then we've got our of course our Easter service. We're going to put these cards. We'll have 5 of these cards on all the seats on Sunday, and I look at this and think, you know what? Anybody can take these cards out, right? And we'll have them on tables. You can grab more. That's just a start for everybody. But tell us about how would you do something like
The
that?
cards are super important. I think we've talked about how door to door in Castle Rock's a little different now. We used to do that a lot. It's not after COVID. People got real funny about it. I will tell you though, people are different when you live in their neighborhood.
Yep.
When you live in their neighborhood and hey, I live in the neighborhood. I'm not somebody who's just coming, from this church. I live in the neighborhood. I care about my neighbors. And we're just inviting people. We just want to show that we love you and care about you. We want you to come to church with us. That is special. That's different. That's not just going door to door. You're caring about your neighbor at that point.
And you could grab more cards too. And I mean, you could grab 25, 30 cards and just walk through your neighborhood.
Just walk through your
and
neighborhood.
Put these on the doors, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of slide it right above the door handle in there, and at least get this out into your neighborhood.
And there's multiple things that does for you as individually and you as a family. I mean, take your kids with you. Do it with your wife. Hey, we are taking ownership of this is important. We want Jesus is important to get out, right? We want to show our family that we want to share Jesus with other people.
But you can focus on, hey, hand out one a day.
One a day.
Just one a day. I've got someone at work. I'm going to invite them today. We've got about 25 days or so until Easter.
As the recording of this is Wednesday. Okay. From Sunday, I guess it would be around 20. We would have invited around 20 people if you handed out one a day.
One a day. Okay.
Leading up to Easter Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. Not hard.
No.
It's not difficult to be a part of.
I want to take that challenge.
Yeah, me too.
I want to take that challenge.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'd say is we are going to put some things on social media. Share that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I would share. And here's what I see though. Don't just share it. There's power in your story. The best story you can tell that it's the personal one, right? What Jesus did for you, because people can't argue with that. They can argue theology. They can't argue what Jesus did in you. And so when you share, hey, Good Friday's coming, hey, Easter Sunday's coming, I would encourage you in the caption, in the comments, whatever, to share it. But then write a little bit about your story. What does this mean to you? Why are you sharing this? Why is this important? And maybe do that, spread it out through the week so your friends are really consistently seeing that. And so they're seeing not only, okay, their church is important, Easter Sunday, we know that's important, but this is very important to them, which I'm their friend. That's important to me. I see the change that's taking place in their life. I want to see what this is about. I think there's power in that.
I think the whole idea is don't expect people just to walk in on Easter Sunday.
Yes.
Don't just rely on the church, quote unquote, the church, right? Sometimes the church will, no, you're the church, right? I mean, you're the one that God has put in your neighborhood, at your workplace. You've got specific opportunities that the rest of us don't have with those people. I don't have any influence with your friends. They don't know me. It didn't matter. I'm the pastor. They don't know who I am, but they know you, and you've had an opportunity to build a relationship and invest in them. And so invite them.
Yeah, and you have so many that Rob Miller called them creasters. Christmas and Easter. Christmas and Easter.
Creasters.
Right, creasters. But that really is, especially in our community, what a lot of people are. And so a lot of them are already coming just out of they believe in God, right? And
they're going to go somewhere.
They're going to go somewhere, and it's kind of this duty to go on Easter.
But that could be what begins a committed relationship with Jesus.
Over and over in people's lives.
Yes. That you know what? Yeah, we haven't been for a year or two, but we go on Easter and God does something in that service that gets a hold of their hearts. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, what about that day? So we show up. How can people help? What can they do that day? to help people feel welcome in the church, to connect people in the church? What are some things you would say to our church?
Well, the things that we were going to share here are honestly things we probably should do every week and be
Yeah.
really committed to every week. I think being early is important.
Yeah.
Being early, not taking the prime parking spots, right? We have
Not taking the prime seating either,
Yes.
for that matter.
Yes.
And when I say that at our church right now, we're fairly full, both services, especially the second service. We're very full. I think move to the front and move to the middles.
Yes.
Right. It's not so much taking the aisles in the back.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is there's something about our committed people singing out well in the service and participating so that they're setting the tone. Everyone else is watching all of that. But most of the time when guests come in, they're coming in right at the gun.
Yeah.
They don't know people. They don't want to come in early. They may even come in during the music. We need those back rows. We need those back chairs.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to start roping them off so that everyone goes into the front or putting reserve signs down.
Going up
whatever.
to the front. Hey, can y'all scoot it?
Yeah. Let's just do that. Let's just make that part of our culture. That, hey, you know what? Part of my way of serving here is to go to the seat that's not the most popular seat, and actually setting a tone in a service.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the simplest acts of service, but it is service, right? You're doing something for somebody else, and thinking of them. And so I think that's important, is getting there early too. 20, 30 minutes early. And the reason for that, it's not just to get there early. You're anticipating we're going to have people here that we can love on, but so much more than that. It's not just people. I think if you just see them as people, it's not as powerful. These are souls with an eternity that I have a chance to be an impact on. That this is our one shot a year, right? This is our one shot to, and how are people going to know that you're my disciples? The love you show to other people, right? The love you show to one another. And so really making a point to love on people, inviting them to sit with you, say, hey, we're members here at Castle View Baptist Church. You're a guest. Would you want to sit with us? Let's get to know each other. Really getting them connected right off the bat. And that is going to open their heart. The goal of that is not to promote yourself. That's going to open their heart to something's different here. And when that message is preached, this is what's different. This is what has changed these people's lives. This is why they care about other people, because of the love of Jesus that's in them that he has for me as well.
Yeah.
And and so I think getting there early is super important. But then we basically talked about it, just talking to people. I mean, everybody's a greeter at that point.
Honestly, our guest services team is almost overwhelmed right now.
Yes.
It's
has
just
been overwhelmed all year.
Every
just,
service, we've got 7, 8, 9, 10 guest cards that are filled out.
Yeah.
And we know that a lot of people don't fill out guest cards, right? So we'll get 7, 8, 9, 10 guest cards every week of families that are here. We don't have enough guest services and hosts to be able to really effectively take care of all of them. And then when we have a special service like this, we're inundated. I mean, they're everywhere. So I would say to our church, you are a greeter. You are a host. You're an owner here. When you see people come in, love them, take care of them. Don't point at them if somebody asks where the bathroom is. Don't point at the bathroom. Take them there. Don't point at where the kids ministry is, the nursery is. Take them there.
Learn their name. We've talked about how important that is.
Yeah.
When they come for a second time and you know their name,
call them by it.
You've had people almost in tears at that point because they're known. That's what people want. They want to be known. And so learning their name, getting their phone number, send them a text, inviting them back. I think just connecting with people at that point.
Take a personal responsibility in people that you meet, right? And that is, it could be lunch afterwards. It could be, a personal invitation to get connected in a deeper way. Hey, I attend a life group, and I'd love to have you join me at it. Hey, I've got a men's group on this. I got this Ladies Connect, whatever. This is what we do. Just take them. We had one quick story about that. We had our new members this week. It's awesome. We had 21 people join Sunday. Just a great day. And one of the things that was really cool is watching those new members in that class that we had bond
Yeah.
together. And we had one younger couple that's been with us since last Easter, but hadn't joined yet. And then we have a brand new couple that went through that, and they had them over for dinner this week.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask them to do that. They just reached out and said, hey, let's get together. And those are the kind of connections that makes a difference.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
people's
people
lives.
we say it all the time. They don't want a friendly church. They want friends.
Yeah.
And you just see it over and over come true. And so that was a cool story of them already getting connected.
Yes.
There was people hugging up there.
Yes.
There was this ownership of this is
Yes.
our church now, you know.
So let's define that. People are not looking for a friendly church. They're looking for friends. Friendly churches are really good at the handshaking time, and they're really
Hey, how
good
you doing?
at
Hey,
how you-
smile.
Right,
Yeah, they talk,
they'll
you know,
smile.
yeah.
And service ends, they go right to their own groups and they do their own
Or they
thing.
just leave. Yeah.
They just leave. We need people that are willing to offer friendship to them, because that's what. And by the way, we always have to remember this: everyone that walks in the door came for a reason.
Yeah.
They're hurting in some way. Typically, either hurting over a past church experience, and that's why they're looking somewhere else. They're hurting oftentimes. Whatever caused them to look at a church. It could be some life circumstance. It could be some health issue, financial issue, loneliness, depression, whatever.
There's always a deeper reason why
there's
they're
a
there.
deeper reason that's there. Many of those times. And so for us, even though we don't see that on their face when they walk in, we need to be very sensitive to meeting people's needs.
Yeah.
It's been a good conversation. Thank you for coming in. I wanted to let our church know, obviously, Easter is just a few weeks away, and we're excited about it. It's a great opportunity, but there's some ways that they can be involved. So Castleview, thank you once again for listening and just joining in with this little conversation we had today. This really is to equip you. This is to get your mind thinking about how you can be involved and what you can do. And so thanks for tuning into it. Let me just encourage you not to be a spectator as we approach Easter this year, but to be an owner, be somebody that is looking to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus. Hey, thanks for watching again, and we will see you next week.